Yep.
So, I didn't hit the record. So initially, when I'm doing a meeting, I'll hit the record and then I can like interview a person
Mm-hmm. Yep.
pretty much. So,
Yep.
this is my educational thing. So how's your day been going?
Going great. Pretty
Good,
cool.
good, 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 good. First hit the record and then pretty much from there you just go through content, like you just schedule you just have the conversations.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Well, cool. I'll tell you what then. Why not? It's just a dress rehearsal, but let's just practice with introduce yourself.
Okay. Cool. My name is Anthony Strayhorn. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. A personal trainer, holistic wellness coach, and a specialist in transformational movement. So that's what I do. That's what I be. That's what I love. That's what I'm doing here in Atlanta. Been in Atlanta 13 years. Originally,
13.
yeah, 13 years.
Okay.
Originally was part of the corporate America experience. Did that for 7 years. And then in 2012, I made a transition to being a personal trainer. And then I started to infuse my readings and understandings of metaphysics into my fitness. And then that's spawned a lot of evolution and expansion in my own self-awareness and my health. Became vegan in 2012. Excuse me, not 2012. Excuse me, 2002.
2002.
2002. 2002. I don't know
So
why.
you've been vegan what? 18 years?
Yeah, over 18 years. Yeah,
Wow, that's a long time. That's a long time. That's a long
yeah,
time. So
like yep. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I learned a lot just by interacting with people. I learned so much about myself because I get a reflection of others. I get a reflection of myself through others. I get to see how I'm showing up, through how people are responding to me, or vibrating with me or not. So it's cool.
that's cool. So, that's a a hell of an introduction.
Mm.
And I'm Eli, just in case anybody who don't know or want to know or what's the point of this. I'm Elia. I'd like to just describe myself as human, period. You know,
Mm.
it beats just saying, well, I'm your everyday ordinary person. Then someone
Right.
will correct me and say, no, you're not. You're not. You're not everyday ordinary. But I'm human. And so the purpose of me even doing this particular interview or any other interview going forward is I have a Facebook page I'm working on, and it's just called Let's Talk Life. The
Okay.
purpose of me even coming to medias like this and finding individuals like Anthony is simply because during this pandemic time, apparent crisis as it's being discussed and labeled, I find it better if we all talk to each other, person to person, individual to individual, and just discuss things amongst ourselves because
I agree.
I'm governments are necessary in order for order to be in a civilization. There has to be some type of structure, rules,
Yep.
regulation in order for the society or whatever thing you're doing to function well. There has to be some type of guidelines. And then if there's going to be guidelines, then there have to be those that are in charge of the guidelines. People have to agree on, okay, what are the guidelines and parameters that we're going to work within? And so in this particular situation, I'm a person, I understand that. But solutions to problems and issues and whatever happens come from everyday people, people that just live in society.
Right.
So going forward from this moment, which for me is my first time, I'll have random people from random backgrounds, different backgrounds. I have no specific one group I want to pick. I'm
Right.
just, Anthony, I know right now, I'm just meeting him really within the last, what, we've known each other about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
I think we met through, well, it's definitely through the fitness world. I
Yep.
know we ran together for a few times with Tess,
Yeah.
the West Midtown Run Club,
Yep.
a couple of events there. I know we've ran together through November Project.
Yep.
And we've sat down and had conversations at Dancing Goats.
Yep.
So some of the things that you were announcing in the beginning, I've had sound bites of that. So that
Hmm.
being said, me personally, I love fitness. I'm not as dedicated as my mouth would say I am, but I'm dedicated enough to know that this is important to my life. So information that Anthony shares will be as valuable to me as to any listener that chooses to open their ears to the moment. And so, with that being said, I have a few questions I'll ask Anthony. One of them is basically just how are you getting along during this particular situation here in the United States? How are you getting along with like? And by the way, Anthony's married, ladies. I don't know if he's into got 2 or 3 wives right now. I don't think that's gonna happen. But how are you and the missus getting along right about now?
Yeah, very well. Very well.
Okay. How's it with the business? I mean, is people still, are you still able to have clients and deal with clients in this particular climate and interesting situation we're in?
Actually, I have. I see all my clients in person except one.
Except
Um,
one?
and one of them is doing a virtual. But other ones I have, I see them one on one.
Oh, okay, okay.
If it's one on one, because you could be social distance, blah blah blah. It's a different kind of environment, like versus like an LA Fitness,
Right,
or bigger
right,
chain, because this is a private space. You can't, we have more control over the flow and the schedule, easier to
right,
maintain.
right. So, can you give any listener that may be interested, which we'll get your information later on, how they can contact you, but
Yeah.
let's say you can give them a little dry run of how a session may go, depending.
Yeah. So I always it's 4 segments to my training, and the first part, the physical part, is a warm up for about 15 minutes. A nice low to medium intensity, low impact warm up. So you get sweaty, but not like slammed. You
Okay.
know, it's not high impact.
So is it like a yoga or more of a CrossFit,
Uh,
push-ups, sit-ups,
dynamic,
or
dynamic movement, dynamic stretches,
dynamic movement? Oh, okay.
dynamic movement. Jogs, runs, definitely those things. Sometimes a mix, jump roping,
Okay.
dynamic stretches, running, then do a cycle of
So
that.
there's no one set regimen
No,
to your first 15 minutes with your client. It's
no.
depending on the day and the field and what's going on.
Yeah, mix it up. I like to mix it up.
That's very interesting. That's interesting.
I would say one of my biggest go-tos though for warm-ups is a half mile run,
A half mile.
either a half mile with some dynamic stretches or just a full mile warm up.
Okay. Okay.
Really get hot to really get loose because you want to be sweaty. You want to be sweaty before you start your second phase of training.
Okay. So initially, a session with you could, and I could come today, and because today I'm able, hey, come on, Eli, we're going to go out, do a quick mile, get the heart rate up,
Yep.
put a little sweat on the body, then we'll come back.
Yeah.
Or it could be, do you use resistance bands of any sort, or
Yeah.
just mainly the body itself?
Body weight's the core strength training, and then we have weights too.
Okay.
But body weight is more of a core go
Okay.
to because for me it's more full body activating.
Okay.
The whole body, you get more smaller muscles that you activate when you use more of your body weight.
Okay.
So that's my philosophy. That's just my approach. I
Okay.
like that because that's how I train myself.
But
So
we're talking to Anthony Strayhorn, so yes, it's the Anthony philosophy, not the rest of the medical world.
yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So then, how do you phase that into your next step?
So I always talk to them about like how the fitness is just the top of the top of the mountain, and the foundation of that is getting a more clear or more empowering understanding of how the relationship you have with yourself and with others in life create this vibration from which you move from the space you come from. So if you're someone that wants to be around people who are like exciting, creative, you know, willing to lean into things that are just exuberant, then that's something once you start cultivating within yourself
Mhm.
first, you start to send out almost like a signal from yourself to match that frequency with other people. And eventually you start to notice that you'll start attracting people who are very similar, may not be exact, but some part of them is similar to you. And then that creates this revolving like vortex of energy, and then you start having cliques and clubs and then communities. So all those form like a sphere, a
Okay.
sphere of influence, a sphere of influence. And so that's a big part of the training because that can really center you and root you down in some level of balance between your body, your mind, your spirit. That makes sense?
Yeah. Only thing I missed, I'm sorry, my ears sometimes have too much wax. So phase two is identifying the benefit of the physical exercise
Yep.
and what it is actually doing for you and what it can do for someone else and how that begins to be an attraction.
Yep.
That's very interesting. I would have to agree because when I myself as a recovering addict, when I started to be concerned about my health, which was the first deal. I mean, quitting drugs and alcohol was a goal, but it became health driven. So
Yep.
once it became health driven, then me personally, I wanted to, I chose, not just wanted, I chose to say, well, I'm going to have to do some type of activity. And
Yep.
I chose running initially. There's a lot of options out there. I chose running first. And then by me choosing running and being willing, that then led me to join a group. So I can understand what you're saying because then I wanted to be around the like minded individuals that were
Got it.
going to encourage and strengthen me in this particular thing. So I'm just saying this as far as an identity with anybody that's watching and listening. And so the next step for me was, well, okay, I stopped doing drugs, alcohol, stopped smoking. At that time, I stopped drinking sodas. So I'm not a big soda fan to this day. I even stopped drinking sodas and I got into the running world. And the next thing I know, oh, wow, I started reading books about running and eating habits. So I can now begin to understand, okay, yeah, I see how that worked, how that's working. Because once I did start looking for the like minded people and I'm now in that group of individuals, well, if your ears are open and your mouth is closed, there's a lot of information flowing from a little bit of everyone. And I may not agree or like what everyone is saying, but all had something to contribute to the
Mm-hmm.
me. And I started taking bits and pieces from the different groups of different people I met. And then, of course, one group led to another. So that's kind of like your phase two. And then how does your second phase begin to lead into your third phase?
Yeah. So first phase is fitness, then it's lifestyle, then it's mind. Then I would say consciousness or mindfulness.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's phase three is just more of a more in depth level of self awareness. It just goes a little bit deeper. Lifestyle is kind of like the lifestyle is a bridge between mindfulness and fitness.
And I was,
Lifestyle,
yeah, with you saying that, I was going to say, well, how much time then would
yeah.
you spend with bridging the gap of the one and the three with
Yeah.
the two? So
Yeah.
is that like a certain portion I'm there and that begins to be a meet
It's a
of a session?
conversation. It's a conversation we have during sessions. So we talk a lot during sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we break off and we start to have a conversation and no workout. Sometimes we're just talking and working. Sometimes we're talking and working out. And then sometimes we're just working out. We just kind of like very,
Mm-hmm.
very little talking. Just depends. It flows. But usually there's conversation. So it's a constant like coming together and growing the conversation, expanding and exploring for within ourselves.
So it seems to me that someone that becomes a client of yours,
Mm-hmm.
there is an evolutionary part of being involved with you
Yes.
from day one to, let's say it's a year from now. That individual, what they can be looking for when they come to you for advice or whatever, just to deal with you, that they're evolving becomes a huge part of being a client with you. So how close am I to being accurate with that? I don't
Yeah.
want to mislead no one.
Yeah. That's accurate. Mm-hmm.
That's accurate. Yeah, because that's what it sounds like. And again, the reason why I bring this up, because a lot of people who are going to, I will put this out there, whether it's great or not, doesn't matter to me. I'm more concerned about information because, again, in this society, this situation, on this day, at this time, there is a lot of mental stress that individuals are going to. There's a lot of habits. When I watch my TV, and I call it social media TV, I call it TV. I don't just call it social media because there's so many shows going on. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching individuals that are accustomed to 8 hours of being dedicated to a discipline or a training or a job, so to speak, now have that gap of time that are finding so many negative habits that it's very bothersome in one sense, and then in another, it's an amazing thing about the human behavioral pattern. I work 8 hours and now I don't have that 8 hours. What to do?
Yeah.
And I find that many of us need, and that's why the Zooms and things like this are picking up. I need something
Yeah.
to fill that gap because the other hours surrounding the 8, most of us may not be paying attention. But those other hours we're all right with. If I wake up at 5:45, I'm good with that. I've been doing it.
Yeah.
My issue begins to be after an hour and a half of being woke. I'm trained to be going somewhere to do something specific for 8 hours. And then after the 8 hours, I'm busy trying to finish off any other things I had planned before I get my rest. And so a lot of us are finding ourselves in a place where there's that 8 hour gap. And and really that's just the at job gap, depending on how long it takes you to get there, your travel in between, which could end up being a 10-hour portion of your life. 10 hours of your life is dedicated to travel and work. Period. If you're a working person, and that's just a fair estimate. Most of us are about somewhere within an hour away from our jobs. So that's an hour commute there, an hour commute home, and you have 8 hours, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation where there's 10 hours. That is now what to do. So then with that being said, and you're discussing that with someone, how does that then lead to your fourth step or fourth phase?
Well, I just kind of keep it in those three.
Keep it in the three.
Keep it in those three. That's the basis. If we go more advanced than that, then that's to be seen.
Right. At that point, they need to call you and get your email and your phone number. We can we'll get that handled. But I'm going to make sure that we conversate again. This is, again, for anyone that doesn't know, it's my first shot at a personal Zoom meeting. I've been a part of group Zoom meetings. I was a part of one today. We're back on my feet. Okay. I love just interaction. So I'm extroverted when it comes to people. I'm outgoing and I love being around people, but I can become very introverted when it's time to just be me. I know how to be me by myself and don't need nobody else around. Look, leave me alone. I'm good.
You're good.
And so, again, this is Anthony Strayhorn. He's here locally in Atlanta. Many of the running world, health conscious part of Running City USA are familiar with Anthony. But if you're part of my audience of friends out there, you're not in Atlanta, well, then you don't know this individual. However, we all have the opportunity to meet. And so the only good thing about the medias right now is the social medias is are opportunities to actually expand our minds with people and connect with people that we probably wouldn't have the normal amount of time to connect with. Not that we would want to or it wouldn't happen. And so, how do you feel about that part? To where, how does that play into what you do with your everyday business and life? Are you finding yourself connecting with more people outside of the city and state?
I'm contacting more of my personal family members more, and yeah, and also reaching out to some other people overall too, for
I mean,
sure. Yeah,
and
that's been a great thing. It's been an awesome opportunity. So
yeah, I mean, and I'm looking at it like that. And so we've discussed several different things before. We've ran before. We'll probably run again.
yeah,
As far as the social distancing in America, look here, we run together, but we do our best. And
yes.
so, how do you feel, or what are your thoughts on social distancing and exercising today?
Yeah, I think it's manageable. You can manage it. If people want to just do 10 or less, fine, that's cool. And you can always maintain 6 feet. It's not many places where I mean, not out, especially outside. If you're outside, you can spread out.
Right,
If you're running, that's easy to do.
right.
You can
We
always work out in a circle too, where you're not close to each other, so it's manageable. So you can have the best of both worlds, or
and,
so.
and
I'm
that's
not,
a good positive spin on it because we've heard a lot of the negative spin. There's enough negativity
yeah,
out there. Whether you want to start with the current president on down to you want to pick sides on the political world and scene, you can, but there's a lot of negative either way it goes. And
yeah,
part of the other reason why I'm choosing to enter into a different type of media is because I feel that I had a post a friend gave put up
hmm
on social media about what's contagious, and
hmm
positivity is contagious,
yeah,
and the thoughts that go with it. And to me, one
yeah,
of the greatest weapons we have is ourself, how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves. Self being positive is very contagious. Is that something you would share with a client of yours?
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That I mean, that's the most important relationship.
Right.
That's the biggest root relationship you need to have in alignment with where you say you want to go or who you say you want to be, for sure.
Yeah. I'm finding that you have to dig deep within yourself,
Yep.
be satisfied with who you are, and then if you choose to be something better, then it's
Yeah.
always about what will it take for me to improve. And
Right.
so, with that being said, how does that fit into being vegan? I mean, you mentioned being that. That's
hmm
what you've been for going on 18 years or more now. How does this positivity, running, physical activity fit in with that? Or how do you mesh that together with who you are and how you deal with clients?
Yeah. I always tell people to just consider the balance of what they eat as it relates to whole foods, related to like vegetables and fruits, seeds and nuts, different things like that. Just to give it self inventory and where you're at with that. And that always comes into a fold when I'm breaking down different lifestyle habits that include nutrition, that include stretching, that include running, that
Right.
include strength training. You know, so it all gets. I show them how a certain kind of food produces a certain kind of effect in your body.
Okay.
So you want foods that are going to give you more, more light energy, more nutritional density. You want foods that are nutritionally dense because that is what your body needs to thrive, to build, to repair itself, to restore itself, to revive itself. It needs that. So you want nutritionally dense foods, foods that have a lot of vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, minerals, calcium, so calcium, all those things, magnesium, folic acid, things like that. Iron. You want a lot of dark greens.
Mm.
Those are great. Fruits like pears, oranges, bananas, those kind of things. Those kind of things really solidify very core, foundational, nutritionally dense intake of food.
And so, how do you feel about your diet and a person's attitude or how they feel about themselves? And do you feel, or are you of an opinion that what you eat effectively affects how you think and act?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because food is energy. Because it's energy. It's fuel. It's what gives ourselves life. So the kind of fuel you put in your car or in any machine or anything that metabolizes, that converts.
Mhm.
So we convert food to energy. Cars convert gasoline,
It's still energy.
gas,
Yeah, it has to move.
liquid to
Yeah.
gas. So it's about the conversion. And within that conversion, you get certain products. When there's combustion, you get carbon dioxide, water. That's what comes out of the exhaust pipe, carbon dioxide and water. So you get things from whatever you convert within yourself. You get products. You get whatever you take in is what you put out. So if you take in, you know, a lot of shame, guilt, fear, judgment, anger, you're gonna convert that. You're gonna exude that. So you just gotta be careful about what you're intaking.
And so that's huge because it's like be mindful of what you're eating as well as what you're thinking.
Yep.
At some point, they are dependent on one another, whether we know it or not. That's what it sounds like.
It
That's how I
transfer.
took that in.
Yeah, there's a transfer of energy. There's always energy. Whenever our relationships are constant cycles of how we move energy day by day, moment by moment.
Okay, that's awesome. And again, this is for anyone out there that's listening. This is Anthony Strayhorn of Stray Fit, and he's an individual that's in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and he works with many different people of many different backgrounds. So this is not like I went and found somebody that has been known all over the earth like that. No, he's known in our community, but the purpose again of this is because in the current climate that we're in this society, I'm just of a person that we need more positivity.
Mm-hmm.
But when we come out of this, we're still going to, what is it that's going to be a building block for your future? What is the takeaway from this? And see, because part of it for me is like for somebody to tell me that wash my hands, I personally am finding that mind-boggling that you don't wash your hands. I guess it's because I've done too much construction work and been near too much grime and mud and soot and all sorts of things in the different job fields I've been in. And it's like washing your hands. I can't see how you don't wash your hands. But to be encouraged to wash your hands or cover your face if you're coughing. Now, every winter people get sick. Every winter people catch a flu, not this one, but have caught flus before. And to not cover your mouth or be out in public doing all that coughing, I have always been one to step away from someone coughing. Yeah.
Right.
Period.
You
It
do
beat COVID-19. Yeah, they could throw their hand over their face. I'm still gonna give them 6 feet because I feel that is, and I've been this way since childhood. I'm going to get sick. If you're walking around the house coughing, then I'm gonna get sick. It happens in every household where there's parents and children. It's a guarantee. If the mom gets sick, it's pretty much everybody in the house is going to get sick. So again, what do we take away from this? How do we eat good information, allow that information to effectively teach us how to carry on from this moment on? Because I still feel like some of the things that you're saying now, if I apply it today, it still should be good in 2023. That's how I feel. And I'm not a person that feel like this pandemic should be teaching me that much new about what's good with life. So, that's why right now with Anthony, myself, the whole goal of the conversation is I'm discussing this with him. I may have somebody else on here that's staunch into veganism. They may just be, I'm totally vegan. Okay, that's fine. what are the benefits? It may be a person that, well, that's not their thing. They're runners and they're totally in the running. But the whole point is, what can we do to create a positive mindset in the midst of a storm of negative information?
Yeah.
And so that's the whole goal of me doing the meetings. This is our first one. This is my first one. This one is going to be brief, you all, but I will return. So Anthony, I have a card here. I don't know how well my camera will pick this up, but there we go, folks. It's saying straight fit. It has a number, but while we're here, if you want anyone to contact you, is there any information?
Yeah, I can put it. I can put my information in the chat.
Well, go right ahead. Awesome. There we go. Hey, it's going to put his information in the chat. And I will be sharing this meeting. So to anyone out there, one of the beautiful things about this situation is we have an opportunity to grow. There's a lot of people in this society that we all probably need to meet, and they're not in mainstream media. They're not on TV. They're your neighbor.
Yep.
So let's take some time, figure out how we're going to introduce ourselves to our neighbors. You know, the people that live on your street whose names you don't know, that you see walking by all the time and you may or may not wave. I think we need to get back to that mentality in this society. And so hopefully what we'll do going forward with this, right now it's just a Zoom meeting. Me personally, I just like to say, you know, let's talk.
Okay.
And the other thing is, what good is the conversation if there's no follow-up and no action?
Yep.
So prayerfully, anyone listening to the conversation that Anthony and I have had, which is brief, but I feel like there's some quality information that came out. And any more questions anyone have, that feel free to, you can inbox me when I post it on the social medias, and we can get some things set up and have discussions. By the way, Anthony, do you do any like motivational speaking or videos, or do you have any materials out there that people can get a hold of?
Yeah, I have some content on my Instagram page and my Straight Fit ATL Facebook page as well. So I put all my information in the chat, and you know, I've got some content out there about that, so people can explore and see what they see.
Okay. And I thank you for this brief moment. You will be back. Don't worry. We'll probably do another one next week because, again, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't expect to be a newbie at this. This is just something I choose to do, my contribution to the earth. Prayerfully, it'll help someone. And so any parting words before we're off the chat? Do you have anything you would like to say, add?
No, just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Let's go with, hey, make sure you get the right current now, people.
Yeah.
I don't want you going over the waterfall unless you're just like into that or something. But all right, thank you for being my very first guest on Let's Talk.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be Let's Talk in the room because, well, I'm talking in my room.
Yeah.
At home. So it's my room. I'm not decorating nothing. You get what you get. It is what it is. And hey, let's keep it authentic, people. All right, Anthony, thank you for being a guest. Everyone that sees this, thank you. Share it. Leave comments. Give feedback. All as well as we build a positive community. In the meantime, be blessed. Have an awesome day.